Good morning, good morning. It's quite an honor to be here. Big thanks to John and Anthony and Holly and team for having us back. There's often a disconnect between some of the technology that you all are working on, whether it be digital assets like Bitcoin or other frontier technology, and maybe the impact that that's having around the world. So we come here to bring you a little insight into what these kind of technologies can do for people worldwide. So for me, it's an honor to be up here with Carine and Anise, longtime friends and heroes of mine. We'll start with a little bit of background. Who are you? What's your story? Where do you come from? And then we're going to get into why you've become advocates for freedom tech, like Bitcoin and beyond. So maybe Carine, you just want to start, introduce yourself and bring us back to what drives you today.
Yeah, so my name is Carine, thank you, and I'm originally from Rwanda, as you saw in the introduction. And in 1994, our story began in the 90s in Rwanda when our country was torn apart by the genocide that took place in 94. In 100 days, more than 1 million people were killed because of hatred, because of the goal of exterminating the Tutsi minority in the country. And at the time, both our biological parents, my sister Anise and I's biological parents, were killed, and we became orphans of the genocide. But we were very lucky to be rescued by Rusesabagina, the hero of the movie Hotel Rwanda, who you may have heard of the film Hotel Rwanda, which depicts his story on how he saved the lives of more than 1,200 people in the Hotel des Mille Collines by sheltering them, welcoming them in the hotel, and keeping them safe until the end of the genocide, until everyone was able to be evacuated to a refugee camp. And then in 2004, the film Hotel Rwanda was released about his life and his role during his bravery during those 100 days. And that led to an international platform that he's used to bring attention to the situation, the human rights situation in Rwanda, to call on change, to call for democracy as the country was increasingly becoming authoritarian. And for years, he continued to use that platform of Hotel Rwanda to call for change and to bring the democracy and the respect for human rights back to our country.
So Kagame, who obviously was the post-genocide ruler of Rwanda, at first was like a poster boy for African development and was on the cover of The Economist and was celebrated by Tony Blair and Bill Clinton and became like a darling of a lot of different Western leaders. But in the 2000s, it became clear he was just another strongman and he was going to become pretty much a fascist dictator. So your father saw that and decided to use his enormous platform to speak out, right, Anise?
Yes.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about what sort of happened next?
Yes, so since when the movie came out in 2004, my dad used the platform to really shed light on what was happening in our country. Just for context, President Kagame had changed the constitution several times to stay in power. In the last election that we had in 2024, he won by 99.15%. And my father saw the direction that we're going, and he wanted to bring this attention to the world, and that made him enemy of the state. And Kagame has this practice of transnational repression, of silencing anybody who speaks out against him, whether you're inside of the country or outside of the country. And on August 31st, 2020, my sister and I were in Washington, D.C., quarantined together during the pandemic. And we found our dad, this picture actually, all over the news. And we found out that our dad had been kidnapped by the regime and accused of terrorism. He was lured to Rwanda and to Dubai via a priest who had worked him for 2 years. So the government used spies to get him to travel toward the continent.
So this priest had basically betrayed him.
It betrayed him. And so we had to launch a campaign, and it was very difficult because Rwanda had become a darling of the West. We had to remind the West that this is a dictatorship. This country does not align with the values where we grew up in Belgium or in the United States. It was very difficult, but we were very lucky that many people know the challenges, including HRF and other organizations around the world, and we had to demonstrate that the trial was a fake trial that they were accusing him of, and through our advocacy, we were able to get the State Department to declare him a wrongful detainee, and so the American government supported our family in securing his release, and this is when we had just welcomed him back home after 2.5 years of imprisonment. During that time, for 11 months, he was solitary confinement. He had no access to medication. It was a very, very scary time.
He was being tortured.
He was being tortured, and most importantly, the government was trying to make sure that we do not advance in our campaign and using technology to destabilize us.
Right, so that's where the technology element comes in. So, Carine, you were at one of our events in Norway, and we started working with a group called the Citizen Lab. And the Citizen Lab checks your phone for spyware. So they can check your phone to see if you have something like Pegasus on it. So if you all remember, one famous incident was when Jeff Bezos' phone was hacked by the Saudis. A lot of governments around the world purchase this spyware so they can see exactly what their opponents are doing. It's very expensive, but it's quite common. And we were doing the checks in Oslo on hundreds of people, and we found out that, Carine, your phone had this terrible spyware on it, which essentially meant that everything you had done in the previous few years was seen by the government, which is just shocking, obviously. Everything personal, but obviously everything to do with your father and the work you all were doing. So this put like the need for understanding technology from a human rights activist, like right, basically into your face, right?
Yeah, no, it was frightening to realize that they had access to every single one of my communications, all the efforts we've been doing to try to get my father home as we were meeting with government officials, testifying in parliaments, meeting privately with our families, or speaking with our family on strategies on what else can we do, what kind of pressure can we put to get our father home, and realizing that they were using this technology was frightening. But then we also understood that this is the tools, they're using these tools against us. We're a small family, and they have the resources of the state, and so we should not be afraid. We should not stop our campaign. It's an intimidation technique, and so we refuse to accept that form of intimidation as a way to stop us from advocating for our father, understanding that technology is going to be utilized, and we must find ways to fight back, understanding it as well, and training our own activists and other democracy leaders to understand these types of technology and be able to fight back.
So both of you took this experience and you decided to push deeper into advocacy for others who are, less fortunate and who are under repression. So, Carine, do you want to just briefly explain what you're doing with the World Liberty Congress right now?
Yeah, the World Liberty, we united with more than 400 activists and democracy leaders from more than 60 countries who are all fighting to bring democracy back in their countries. They're fighting for human rights, for the rule of law, for freedom of press in their own respective countries. And our understanding is that these authoritarian regimes are working together. They're coordinating. They're learning from each other's methods of repression and utilizing the same methods. And understanding that us as activists from these authoritarian countries that are fighting back should come together as well. And one of those things that we are coming together to do is to train and understand AI and tools and technology in order to fight back and to be able to be well equipped to fight back against these types of repression.
So what brought us to this event originally was Bitcoin. HRF's done a lot of Bitcoin work around the world. We met several years ago and chatted about this, and Anise, you had decided to really push forward in this area, given that, especially in Rwanda, people are basically trapped by the financial system. It's highly surveilled. The currency does not do well over time. So you decided to create the Africa Bitcoin Institute. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you've been doing with ABI, and then we'll sort of get to the AI portion of this?
Absolutely. For me, I was shaken, by the amount of the violation of our privacy through Pegasus. And Pegasus is the last mile in terms of attack. They can try to hack you, do other things in between. And the government has unlimited money, and finance is the way advocates can move forward. If they're not able to access their counterpart in the movement, being able to pay for their work, being able to actually support political prisoners who have been released, because many of them are pushed out of the financial system. And I realized it all starts with money. Had our dad stayed in prison 10 more years, it would have been very difficult for us to continue to do our
The
work.
regime freezes the bank accounts of
Exactly.
anyone that disagrees with it.
Exactly. So for me, I wanted to understand what is the opportunity of Bitcoin? How can Bitcoin support the most vulnerable, but also understanding that more than half of the population in Africa is unbanked. There's a lot of young people who are really technologically savvy, and phones have penetrated very, very far. And Bitcoin is really the opportunity of digital money that can allow people to be more free and to be sovereign in the way they do their work in their lives. And so for me, I wanted to understand the adoption, but also ensure that policymakers are making the right policy around Bitcoin. Many policymakers don't fully understand the opportunities of Bitcoin and how it can support the population. And at the end, the most vulnerable, who are the activists.
So you're working to help push for better understanding of why Bitcoin is important for individuals in Africa among governments and policymakers and large foundations, multinationals. Just a word on why Bitcoin. I mean, in my view, Bitcoin is a freedom tool. I understand that, stablecoins linked to the US dollar are often used, but, they're not freedom tools in the same way. Their values dictated by another power. They can be frozen. You can be rugged, and ultimately by using them, you are strengthening whoever issues them. So for someone in a country in Africa, it makes less sense than maybe for an American. But Bitcoin is sovereign, and you can fully control it. And something a lot of people don't know is that Africa has 45 currencies. It's like impossible to do business in Africa because you have to keep switching currencies, and each one is a tax on you, and each one is a wall to prevent you from doing business or speaking or interacting with someone else. So having this one neutral, completely free currency is really liberating, and it's been amazing to see what people are building on that continent with this technology. It's like, that's where the innovation's happening today. I mean, there's people who've created ways to use Bitcoin without the internet. That's like an amazing civilizational step. People have created ways in countries like Kenya, you can just live on Bitcoin and pay everybody with Bitcoin. And they don't even know they're getting Bitcoin. Someone created a brilliant app that connects Bitcoin to M-Pesa. So you can pay your cabbie, your landlord, your groceries, your gas, everything you can pay with Bitcoin. So they're just like very far ahead of us here in America in many ways.
That's because the financial infrastructure is very weak, and there's a lot of opportunities to grow. And this is why Bitcoin, in terms of innovation, is a great place there compared to some other parts of the world where the financial infrastructure is much more closed. And I think, again, young people are the ones driving all of this.
So we're kind of seeing a deja vu moment here, because a lot of you saw the promise of Bitcoin early, but a lot of people in like the human rights space did not. And like a lot of people generally speaking in the humanitarian space or social space, they were like, Bitcoin, no way. Same thing's happening with AI. They're like, oh, AI is evil. It's going to steal jobs. It's going to hurt the environment, all these things. And there's grains of truth to some of this stuff, but I think what they're angry with are large corporations. And like, we are too, but what they don't understand perhaps is that there's ways to use AI that augment and empower you and expand your freedom. Using AI locally, using AI in a sovereign way, using AI privately. And that's what we're working on, and it's so exciting. So what we've been able to do is build a secure agent that's built on open source code that is hooked up to a TE inference, meaning the model is provided by a cloud host that can't see what you're saying. It's private. It's not like you're just giving all your info to Anthropic or whatever. And Anise was able to get one of these agents through our trainings, and she was able to participate in a hackathon, and all of a sudden you can build complex things and you can scale your work. I mean, how amazing has this been?
Oh, it's been amazing. Just of my day-to-day work has just improved the efficiency, but the best is being able to build applications that are needed by activists today that have not been created by people outdoor. And so I had the opportunity to build an application called Zuka, based on freedom technologies like Bitcoin, Nostr, and which allows basically it's a mask that people can use online, and advocate without being silenced. And so you can speak about what you want, speak about what's happening in Rwanda. I had done this for Rwanda because they have killed actually all reporters have been killed. There's no more independent journalism, and any influencers who speak up about the regime is imprisoned. So this is a way to continue to do the work without being silenced and censored. And I was able to build this with some amazing developer with AI in less than 24 hours. And now many Rwandans are using this application to really speak up about what's happening in the country on a daily basis. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to conclude, what we're seeing is the rise of the super activist, because now when you have this powerful, secure personal agent, you can just do so much more. And it's not like you need to hire other firms or companies to do this. Governments have a monopoly on banks and video firms and creative firms. They have all the resources at their disposal. But small activists, individuals, small NGOs typically don't have the funding, so they can't go hire a professional video company or a research investigation unit, et cetera. But now you can just do this from your pocket.
Exactly.
And it can dramatically scale what you're doing. So that's our mission, is to not only make every activist unstoppable with Bitcoin, but also to make them a super activist with these powerful AI agents. And I think people get it wrong when they say AI is going to hurt creativity. I mean, if you use it the right way, it makes you so much more creative. It allows you to do anything that you can imagine. And that's what we're driving, is this idea that like AI is actually very human. It can make you much more human. I mean, partly because of AI, like I hardly spend any time at a computer anymore. I just talk to my agent. And I think it's really going to help liberate us from boring, rote tasks that machines really should do. Those are going to be done by machines now. And we're going to be free to do what humans can do. And that doesn't ring any more true than with activism. It's really going to liberate all of you guys from the sort of tedious, boring work of doing a report for a donor. Like that used to take you weeks or months, and now it's just like you tell your agent to do it, and it does it.
Yes.
It's like amazing.
And on top of that too, we're working with, there's a lot of data out there that activists can use in their favor to support their work. A lot of information to amass, and we don't have the bandwidth at the time to do it. And often you need the specialists to be able to do this. And now I think from a strategic and creative perspective, we can do so much more with AI. And the reality is dictators are going to use technology. If activists do not use technology, it will completely uneven. And we have to use the gift of technology to continue our fight and our struggle and to make the playing field a little bit more even.
I mean, we're not naive. Obviously, dictators are using AI. Just look at China. But in the same way that you can't fight a computerized dictator with a typewriter, we're not going to be able to fight these AI-powered dictators unless we embrace it and use it on our own terms. So you all are leading the way. We're happy to support you. Thank you all for being here. Your time is very valuable, so thank you for spending it with us this morning, and thanks to these two heroes. We'll see you soon.